Cassie Carlson is at Halas Hall, and we're so glad to be able to check in with her there from Halas Hall. The Bears are now 8-3. Who saw that coming at the beginning of the season? But it feels good to be able to say now, and our Fox Chicago sports team has been busy covering it all. Cassie, thank you for making some time for us today. I can't hear you right now. Let's see if you're muted on your end or ours. Okay, I can hear you now. Yep, let's talk about the high and the hope that we are fully healed ahead of the next big game. Let's start with the vibes today. What is it like around Halas Hall?
Yeah, well, I think it's still building off of what everyone experienced yesterday after getting the job done against the Steelers, and as you mentioned, moving to 8-3 on the season for the first time since 2018. And the belief that this team continues to show they have to be able to win now their sixth close game in the fourth quarter. And this one was a little bit different than the other ones because they were down so many defensive starters and then lost more backups in the middle of the game. So to see guys like DeMarco Jackson step up, Amen Ogbongbemiga stepped up. They combined for 29 tackles. They were the first linebacker duo to do that since Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher in the 2000s. It's pretty impressive to see. And so you want to feel good about the Bears. They're not talking about the playoffs, of course. They're now going to be in every playoff graphic that goes around on NFL broadcasts and talk shows. But they have a short turnaround. They have 5 days before they're back on the field taking on the Philadelphia Eagles on Black Friday. Of course, you can watch that on Fox 32 Chicago. They're the reigning Super Bowl champs, and they're not the same team as they were a year ago. But that's going to be a tough test going into their house, a tough place to play in Philly, and seeing if they can find their 9th win of the season before entering the month of December.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, what were the speeches like? Who got the game ball? Or was it only one game ball? Because the last week there were multiple game balls.
There were 2 game balls this week. It was DeMarco Jackson, who was the linebacker that stepped up and had 15 tackles. And then it was Montez Sweat, who has been flashing as of late. He had 2 sacks yesterday, could have had a third, had a strip sack, forced fumble, recovered the fumble. He's been playing really, really well, especially since the bye week. He has 6.5 sacks. And to have your premier player on the defensive line at that edge rusher position be able to get to the quarterback and affect him is going to be so key for the rest of this defense, especially when they were banged up and losing a lot of guys in their secondary. You need Montez Sweat to step up. So that was always nice to see. And he talked for the first time in a long time, just saying he feels like this isn't the same old Bears team anymore because of the belief they have and what Ben Johnson has done to change the culture inside this building. And I think we're all seeing that play out now on Sundays. So 2 game balls given out. DeMarco Jackson, a cool story because he really hadn't played many snaps, period. Some special team snaps for the Bears, but has experience playing in Dennis Allen's defense because he was in New Orleans previously. And to step up midweek knowing that Tremaine Edmonds is going to go on IR, Noah Sewell is out, TJ Edwards was, he was not going to play in his 3rd straight game. To be able to be that linebacker that just is that next man up, and really there was no drop off. I think it was a slow start a little bit, but the second half adjustments were clearly made, and for the defense to show up when it needed to, and the offense couldn't find ways to get into the end zone to separate a little bit more late in the fourth quarter, they got the stops when they needed to. So huge credit to that defensive group and Dennis Allen for getting everyone on that team ready.
Yeah, next man up mentality, so important. And as you mentioned, they're getting ready to go up against the Super Bowl champs. Okay, I guess you could look at this 2 different ways. The Eagles are coming off of a loss now, and so are they more of a formidable foe now that they will be wanting to get this W coming off of a loss? Or are we seeing some areas where, like, no, they're just not the same team and we might have a good chance?
Yeah, I don't think this is the same Philadelphia team that won the Super Bowl a year ago. And you can just look at what Saquon Barkley is doing on the ground. He had 2,000 rushing yards last year, and he's sitting at right about 650 right now. He only had 22 rush yards against a bad Cowboys defense last night. And so to see that in itself, you know that they're just not being as productive in their run game as normal. There's some drama within the locker room. Their receiver, A.J. Brown, isn't happy with how many targets he's getting. And we all know the receiver drama diva talk that goes around in the NFL. So that exists in Philly. Jalen Hurts, we have some questions about him. They are missing one of their best offensive linemen in Lane Johnson, who's hurt, and we don't know if he's going to play on Friday. So, and then you look at the defense, and Philly's known to have some good defenses. They're right just in the middle of the pack, similar numbers to the Bears. They're good at stopping the run, but again, that back half and back end of the defense and the passing defense, I think there is another opportunity for the Bears to exploit it. So the Eagles are good at not losing back-to-back games. This is a tough turnaround with just 5 days to get ready for their best opponent on the schedule yet for the Bears. And it's a tough place to play. So I think that all plays into it. But I think one thing we've come to learn about this Bears team is they're just simply never out of these games. And despite all the narratives of being down defensive starters, is Caleb Williams progressing the way we want it to, special teams showing up in moments where they needed them to, they always are finding these ways to stay in games and eventually win these games. So I don't know if you can count out the Bears heading into Philly on Friday on a short week. And hopefully they're going to get some players back on defense with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, I think, are eyeing that game to return off of IR.
Well, that's a great game to return for sure. But we do have a tough road ahead, regardless of what happens with the Eagles. And we still have to play the Packers twice. Talk a little bit about what December looks like.
Well, December is the only month that matters in the NFL, especially if you're the Bears right now and you're sitting at 8-3. It's kind of the message that's been sent to this locker room from the veteran leaders, which Ben Johnson applauded today, saying guys like Kevin Byard, Grady Jarrett, Joe Thuney, those are like 10-plus year vets in the league right now. And to have those voices in the locker room, he said that is such a huge help to relay the coach's messaging to the guys on the practice field on a day-to-day basis. And so right now you're looking at those guys who are playing all at a high level too. But one thing Kevin Byard said last week is that no one cares how many games you win in September, October, and even early November. The only games that matter are in December. And that's going to be the truth for this Bears team because they have 8 wins. They have yet to play the Packers. That's going to be a tough matchup. They're going to go on the road. That game got flexed to a 3:25 on Fox. Then they have a Saturday game against the Packers at Soldier Field. They still have to play the 49ers. They're going to end the season against the Detroit Lions. And so right now you're looking at the Bears holding on to that first place spot in the NFC North, but there's still so much time left to play. And so this Bears team knows that they should be playing their best ball in December. They don't feel like they are playing their best ball yet. I think just by the eye test alone, you can say that there's still so much room for this team to grow. And with that being said, they still have 8 wins. So I think it's going to be a telling month in December. I think it really starts on Friday with this Black Friday game. But December is going to be so key to see if they can, one, hold on to that spot in the division. I think that might be really tough, but that would be exceeding all expectations of Ben Johnson in his first season, or get a wild card spot. So 8 wins right now. We'll see if they can get to 11, 12.
Okay, tell us about the rest of your day. I see cameras set up in there. So tell us about the rest of your day getting ready for tonight.
Yeah, you want a tour of the media room? This is the press conference room. So it's a long day at Halas Hall today, actually, because Monday is usually Ben Johnson talks later in the day and then the players, and it's a lot of times over Zoom. But because it's a short week, players are coming in today. So Ben Johnson talked at about 10 o'clock this morning. And then there's a long break till players who are just starting to arrive now at the practice facility. They'll talk at 2:30, and that's when we'll hear from Grady Jarrett and center Drew Dahlman. So we do a little bit of that, and then we do some recordings for Chicago Sports Tonight, which you can catch at 6:30 on our digital channels, and then 9:30 tonight on Fox. And then we turn some stories for the day too. So it's a long Monday, but these weeks are fun. I mean, you're getting a primetime game against the reigning Super Bowl champs. I feel like in football terms, that's all you want to ask for in these big games, and you're still in it late in the season.
Cassie Carlson, live from Halas Hall. We will see you for Chicago Sports Tonight. But as she clearly laid out, it's a very busy day, so we certainly appreciate your time coming on Chicago Live.